And Donitz was, of course, the commander of that. And the U-boats would be directed to this point that this convoy was heading for, and it would eventually reach up, and you'll never have, in 1941, about 6 maybe, but by 1943, the U-boat straits had been built up so much at Dunit's insistence that there could be as many as 20. Believe me, it was a frightening thing. What would happen anyway is a U-boat would close in and fire these torpedoes, usually from outside the stream, although sometimes within the stream. And when he had fired, he would go get ahead of the convoy, well ahead of the convoy, and then recharge his torpedoes. In the meantime, another one would take up station and fire, and he would go to he fired his torpedoes. He would do the same, And so it went on like a constant, it's like a constant attack position, and we did get up one, I think it was called, we did get up one kind of, it's the second mate seriously Christ hit there. Not the second mate, it was the third mate, he hit this U-boat. And the next day we signalled the Commodore and told him that something had hit this U-boat, possibly sunk it. And later on, they were come back that there had been debris in the water, but this was a known trick. They doubted very much if it sunk the U-boat, because this was a known trick of the submarine commander. What they would do, they would fill a torpedo tube with debris, broken boxes, this, that, the next thing, clothes, somebody's trousers, somebody's jacket, hat, stuff like that. And then fire this into the water, and of course it floated at the top, and it wouldn't be from there because something had been happening. It hadn't been hit all the time. This was quite and if somebody died on board, they would think that they'll put the body in the tube and looping it there and then sending it up to, just, it was a trip that they played, and it worked quite well on them. But evidently the Navy hadn't been fooled, or were quite confident that it would go. So we didn't get credited with sinking of the submarine. It was unfortunate. But there you are, that's the way it goes. Now, when an aircraft, a submarine was sighted and a convoy, what used to happen was the escort would go full fart right up to the convoy, right up to the sighting, and try and pick up a sonar on the submarine. And then if he did pick sonar up the submarine, he'd be joined by another escort who would then pick up the sonar, and he would direct the first one. And as the first one went in, it was either a hedgehog or squid attack. And which one was directing the other, as I said. And there was a point, I believe, when they were going into depth charge, that they could lose contact on this submarine. So the other one was standing by and keeping the sonar on and telling them what to do. Another ship what to do when we're going in. It's very tricky business. But they would keep depth charge until they felt that either they escaped, lost contact, and the submarine sunk or escaped. Now, in 1942, escorts were providing the snowflake rockets and solar merchant ships, and the aircraft, if you had supporting aircraft, they had a light tube under the plane, and you fired these snowflakes, and they were very brilliant, and they turned the night completely into day. There's no doubt about that. I remember the first time I saw one go up, I didn't see it. Well, I kind of said I didn't see it. The alarm had gone off, and I came up the bridge ladder, and I just got to the top of the bridge when I fired this thing off the bridge, it was attached to the bridge, and it went off. Quite honestly, I just about shit myself. The second mate and the second sparks, I was junior sparks and I did. The second mate and the second sparks, for the Christ, I did shoot myself, but I don't think so now. If I did, I was maybe too frightened to recognize it. But it certainly worked. It was a really good thing. These attacks, when you were attacked by the wolf, this and a slow-moving convoy, and it's an unfortunate thing, because usually slow-moving convoys over, isn't it? Well, these attacks could go on for about a week at night, when it was quite frightening thing, and it was also very, very tiring. Your first night, of course, you couldn't sleep for depth charging and ships being blown up. But next night, same thing. During the day, there was always tension. I used to have the 12 to 4 watch, being the junior always took the 12 to 4 watch. And it meant that when I come off at 4 o'clock and the attack was, you were still standing by, we went on the bridge and got a pair of binoculars and look out. I had all the daylight come in. You'd be awfully tired and you wouldn't go to bed, you were fully clothed. You had your wee ditty bag there with your certificates and your discharge book and all that, and you'd have this strap around you and your life belt on and a life jacket, I should say, on, and you would just go to bed dressed like that. You wouldn't go to bed, you'd lie on top of the bed and rely on your settee, just ready, just in case. In case something happened. And then you get wakened up and you watch at 12 o'clock. You may have a very uneasy sleep if you sleep, of course. And you do your 12 to 4 in the afternoon, and then you dead tired, and you have a couple of hours sleep, and then as darkness come in, you're up again, and away on the bridge watching. It was a case all hands. This happened with everybody, and it was the same. I wondered what was going to happen next year, and it was quite a relief when you realised that nothing was going to happen. Now, a fast-moving convoy was a different story because they had the speed to outrun the U-boats, and they might get attacked one night, and they just belt off, and the U-boat keep catching. So they weren't too bad. Oh, it doesn't matter when there's a slow fire, the ships torpedoing the men at gold, but tragedy, it doesn't matter what they were on. Now, to try and get over this wolf pipeline here, they formed scope groups. Now, these were underexperienced commanders had plenty depth charge experience in that, and what would happen was that Liverpool was the headquarters of the C&C Western Approaches, and he would get some radio intelligence that Will Park was forming, and he'd immediately send a nearest support group to join the convoy at Chad Day's defence. And although I shouldn't, we would say, here's the support group coming up. You maybe see a strange warship coming over and say, oh, well, they wouldn't see any more. They maybe just see one coming over. They didn't see them because they didn't know there was going to be a bit, but saw them, never idea. And they were quite effective. Now, just one or two details of some convoys, not full details. And the 1st November 1940 convoy HX-84 was the episode ship sighting the Admiral Steer in mid-Atlantic. The captain of the Jarvis Bay, which was in charge, and the convoy was Captain E.S. Regan. And he ordered the convoy to Scotland, and he himself headed his ship towards the Admiral Steer, and he'd only 8 6-inch guns. They're a bloody shame, and he's going to dance this battleship, And of course, the ship was born from that. And he was awarded the posthumous VC. 5 ships were still sunk. Admiral Bond ordered the convoy PQ-17 to scatter and its escorts to withdraw. On the 4th of July 1942, when we were on the Murmansk run, he thought it might be attacked by the triplets. And actually, it wasn't. But there was 23 ships out, 36 British and American ships in that convoy lost. Another disaster. They were actually going to Archangel. They were sunk by U-boats and aircraft, not by the triplets at all. And it's bad mistake. That was round about North Cape. In 1940, Narvik fell in the Battle of Narvik. June the 10th, 1940, Italy declared war. And the fleet was sunk on the 24th of May 1942 by the Bismarck, and then, of course, on the 27th, Bismarck was sunk. And that was an epic. It was a simple Bismarck. The first Allied convoy went to Archangel in September 1941. Then, in the winter, they would go to Murmansk, the Kola Inlet, because it was free of ice, or freer of ice than Archangel. If I remember right, Kola Inlet's part of Finland, but the Russians had taken it. The PQ-1846 ship was Loch Ewe on the 2nd of September 1942, escorted by 1 aircraft carrier, 3 EES, 20 destroyers, and covered by the battleship Keeper York and 4 cruisers. And they still lost 13 ships. But the previous convoy, the PQ-17, lost 23. Now, I think I'll leave it there. I have some notes on the SC-112 60 ships left New Yarmouth, March 1943, and the HX-229 were 40 ships sailed 3 days later. They were faster convoy. More than 30 U-boats were waiting for them. And despite escort, 21 ships were lost in the Mid-Atlantic battle between the 60s and the 90s, and only 1 submarine was lost. So I'll leave them just now. Should